to this day. Rotten eggs is the smell that I remember. It was stuck in my nose when I woke up. And I would wake up screaming. And my grandmother finally asked me after a couple nights, why are you screaming at night? And I told her what happened. And she told me, God has a purpose for you. And if you don't see it by now, I told her about the dream and the gun in New York. She told me, if you don't realize that God has a purpose for you, you're the biggest idiot I've ever seen in my life, and I did not raise an idiot. So you need to get out there and find out what's happening. You're lucky your grandfather is not alive, because he would beat you to death here at this kitchen table. And if you don't listen to God, you're going to hell. This is his warning to you. So she caught me off guard. It's not even breakfast. I haven't even finished my eggs, and she's telling me I'm going to hell. So I tell her that I looked for God, I didn't find Him. She told me, she didn't tell me to go to church. She didn't tell me to get back into the church. She told me, God doesn't go anywhere. You just have not found Him. So I became a deist at that point in my life, which is someone who believes in God, they just have no religion. And I started to, something changed about me at that time. I stopped looking for God, and I got on my hands and knees and prayed. This is how I knew the religious men of God, and all the religious books pray. Hands and knees, on the ground. I got on the ground and I asked God at this point in my life, God, if you want me to know the truth, then you need to guide me. If you want me to know about you and your way of life, what you want from me, then here's your opportunity. I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. You can leave me a message. I'll get back to you. But please, I need some help here. So I started to try to clean up my act, become a better person. It's not really that easy. You don't change overnight, but I was attempting to. And it just so happened that after that, few months after that, I met a Muslim who was a friend of mine. And I never knew he was a Muslim. I had been to his house on many separate occasions after school, and I never knew that he was a Muslim. And there was a couple of reasons why. I was at his house one day, and we were debating about religion. And I didn't know he was a Muslim for two reasons. Number one, he was African American. And I thought that all Muslims were Arabs. His name was Musa, but we called him Blunt. He was from New York. And I did not know that Muslims, along with their worshipping their moon god in the box and killing non-Muslims and beating their wives, I did not know that they could sell drugs, which is what this guy did for a living. He sold marijuana for a living. So that's why we called him Blunt. So I did not know that he was a Muslim. And I was sitting there debating with another friend. I forget what I have no idea what we were debating about. I was 18 years old. And he came out and he's like, yo, you ever heard of Islam? I'm like, yep, I heard all about that Islam. All about it. He was like, well, I'm a Muslim. I was like, I know you like to be funny, but that's taking it too far. You should be a stand-up comedian with that act. I said, but wait a minute. You don't really want to run around telling people that you're a Muslim. You know, that's not what you want. You want the FBI up in here. You already have enough drugs in here to put you in jail forever. Now you want the FBI following you because you're saying you're Muslim. Not a good idea. I said, wait a minute. You can't be a Muslim. He was like, why? I said, because you're black. He said, you think I don't know that? He was like, what Islam are you talking about? Because I asked him, are you Nation of Islam? He's like, nope. He's like, I'm real Islam, real Muslim. I was like, you can't be. And I started telling him what I knew about Islam. He was like, man, what in the blank have you been reading? Because that is garbage, and Islam is completely opposite than everything that you just told me. I was like, all right, then you tell me about Islam. He said, I can't. So why not? He said, because I'm not the best Muslim. He said, I do good to pray 5 times a day. I try. I used to wonder what he was doing when he used to go and get that rug thing. But I thought it was just, I don't know what he was doing. Trying to keep the police from coming to his house, trying to pray to some god for protection. I thought it was Santeria or something, because I had studied Santeria and they do that protection type of stuff. But he said, but I do know where you can go to find out about Islam. I said, where? He said, come with me on Friday to the mosque for Jummah. I'm like, wait a minute. The only thing I heard from that sentence was Friday. What about Friday? Mosque and Jummah, you lost me. He was like, a mosque is like our church. And Jummah is like Sunday service, but no chairs. I said, okay. Church with no chairs sounds amazing, because that was the worst part about church, is those pews. I can't take them. As a kid, I used to lay on them, and they still hurt. So he said, meet me. I said, okay, where is this mosque? Because I know there's not one in Greenville. He said, yeah, it's on Wade-Hampton Boulevard. I'm like, yeah. Now I know you're playing games with me, because I live off of Wade-Hampton Boulevard. I've lived here all my life. There's no mosques. He said, you know where Lee Road intersects Wade-Hampton? I said, yeah, buddy, I live on Lee Road. Let me assure you there's no mosques on Lee Road. He said, you know that missionary training facility on the corner next to the gas station? I said, yes, I used to take missionary courses there, and I'm guaranteeing you, without a doubt, for sure, there's no mosque. He said, you know that brick building that shares the same parking lot with the missionary training facility? I said, with the gold thing on top? I'm like, yeah, the gym? He's like, nope, that's the mosque. And I was like, oh my God. I wasn't surprised, I was shocked that these crazy Muslims live at the end of my road. These crazy Arab, wife-beating, killing machines live at the end of my street, and I never knew. So